Hello. I am not Devin Foster. I am John Deal, substituting for the man, the myth, the legend. And we are here on Town Experience Live, our weekly foray into Phenom's applied AI platform that is helping our customers, which are enterprises around the world, to hire faster, develop better, and retain longer. As you can tell, I am the sub, so I don't do it too often. But today, I am happy to be joined by Howard Pressman from our product management team. Howard is the director of product management for some of our recruiting tools, and he is here to talk to us today about recruiting events. So, Howard,
Yes.
welcome to the program.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. And Howard and I are here on our second trip together at Phenom. We used to work together previously at a different organization. So it's great to be able to do this with you, Howard.
Absolutely. That's how the world works, right? You work with people that you enjoy and you find them again.
That's right. And or you just coincidentally bump into each other in the kitchen, and
that could work
and
too.
Realize, yeah. So it's great that you're here, and you are here to talk to us about some of the latest things that that you've been hearing, and some of the latest things that you've been doing around recruiting events, and some of the technology that that we're bringing to bear to help folks out. So it is career fair season, and I actually, my very first job out of school was I got it at a career fair, and coincidentally, the company happened to be a mile away from my parents' house, which I was moving back to at the time. So it kind of worked out. So I am
very serendipitous.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a beneficiary of a quality career fair experience. Unfortunately, I think that not everybody has that same level of quality experience. And so share with us a little bit. You've been out there kind of talking with some of these recruiting teams and some of the challenges they're having. What are some of the more recent things that they're going through that are challenging for them?
And not just, talking to our customers and recruiters out there, but we actually get to go and attend. And that's always the best way, right? Because you have to keep in touch with what's actually going on. As recently and now things change over time. So it's always important to get out there and go side by side with folks who are running these things and just watch. We do our own career fairs, and I've been to a few of those at different universities. But not just university recruiting, right? There's also company-wide career fairs that they're hosting themselves. And that's always interesting to just have, one place, whether it's virtual or online, that people are coming to for many different jobs at a company, or the same type of job in different places for those that have multiple locations. So it's pretty interesting. I think, it's always challenging to do these things because just the amount of coordination and making sure that they have all their table covers packed up and all their pamphlets packed up like that, and all the pens. That's challenging enough, of course. But I think what's interesting that I've seen is just the volume of candidates that are showing up to these things. It's really increased a lot. The university career fairs are crazy. They're getting bigger and bigger, I think, with the number of companies that try to get there. And the students are really just trying to talk to everybody, trying to be fast. They're not wanting to spend a lot of time. So you've got to capture their attention really, really quickly. And, for other company career fairs, people are just applying to anything and everything. They're going and they're using AI tools themselves to put resumes together, and they're just blasting. So you get these people that show up to the event that are not necessarily as qualified as they could or should be for those types of roles, right? So it's really time consuming for folks. And that's what we see. And everybody's really sensitive to their brand too. So as you're at a career fair, you're representing your company. So you could be filmed, you could be put online if you're not interacting with a candidate appropriately or the right way, or as good, you say something that isn't quite coming out the way that you mean it to come out. And so I think people are really, really stressed at these things.
Yeah, you almost always have to be on, right?
Always.
Because you have to you have to break through the noise
Mhm.
and resonate, right? And have that aha moment with a candidate. But then, on the flip side, the recruiters are in the thick of that volume,
Yeah.
right? And so they have to figure out a way to meaningfully kind of weed through, like as you said, the AI generated stuff that's not
Right.
really meaningful to their open positions or to what they want to hire in their organization. So, what are some of the kind of the bigger pain points that bubble up as part of this whole chaotic event season?
Yeah, I think it's really a great question, because it's not just getting to the event and planning it and mapping all that out. It's having candidates, as much as you can, really register ahead of time, right? How do you screen people ahead of time and get them in so you know who's going to come? And so when you see that person that comes up, you recognize their name potentially, right? Because
Right.
you've read their information and you've seen it already as much as you can. Um, and then just the amount of engagement that happens, it's really important. And people spend a lot of time, if they're not using the right tools, a lot of time sending reminder emails to people to come out, right? How do you really nurture the candidates that you know about before the event? How do you invite people to the event that may be leads from previous events, saying, hey, we have something open now, we're doing another event, come to this one because we have the hiring manager that was a better fit for you at this one, right? Things like that. How do you manage those interactions? And then, after the event as well, how do you follow up? How do you capture all the information that's really there? It's like, how do they balance their day job while doing these events? I've seen a couple times where, you set up an event weeks and weeks in advance, right? Because you have to be there, and the jobs that you think you're hiring for get filled. And now what do you do, right?
Right,
So now you have
right.
to switch and pivot to, okay, well, now it's a lead gen event and it's not a specific hiring event for this role, or, we don't have as many roles open and you get 1,000 people that show up. And what do you do? So it's really a balance of how do you automate some of that,
Right.
and how do you take some of that off the table of, how do you nurture and invite and just make that as easy as possible so that
Right.
you can focus everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal problem that a lot of people have dealt with too. The whole, how much food do I order for my party, right?
Yeah, when you think pizza's easy, but then this person likes mushrooms and that person doesn't like pepperoni, and
Right,
my wife's
exactly.
gluten free, and then what do I do?
Right. Am I getting the moon bounce for kids, or am I getting the moon bounce for adults? Like, what is
It's a
the,
different moon
what's the
bounce, isn't
makeup?
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So it's so from a hiring perspective, I think you vacillate back and forth between, I hope we get enough candidates to our booth or to our setup at the fair, versus, holy crap, we have too many. How do we handle that type of volume? And oddly, a lot of people are still handling it with very kind of antiquated tech, or I wouldn't even say tech in some cases, right?
Mhm.
So spreadsheets is kind of advanced for some folks. In some other cases, they're using things like uh, sheets of paper,
Right.
or maybe one sheet of paper if you're from Dunder Mifflin. And you have QR codes to try and get people to drive people to your booth, and
Mhm.
um, each of those kind of has their own kind of shortcoming, right? They
It
like,
does,
what's missing from those they seem old, but what specifically do you see missing from those types of tools that would be helpful to these teams?
yeah. And sometimes, and it's always surprising for when a tech guy gives this answer, but sometimes tech is not the answer, right? And there's absolutely time and place for that. And sometimes low tech is easier than setting things up, but for these kinds of things, it's not ideal at all, right? um, as you see, like at university career fairs especially, you see the students coming by and they're not scanning the QR code, they're just taking a picture of it and they'll go check it out later, right? If they don't know who you are right away, they don't know who your company is right away, you don't have the right branding, whatever, they're just snapping because they're trying to hit every booth and then they'll come back, right? So that's really the fact that they can do that.
Right.
And you have to set up something so that you can still capture their information, right? When they do come in later, maybe it's after the event is ended, right? How do you still capture their information if they actually go through to that link and do that. People also, at these things, they're not carrying around paper resumes. So do you have something on that form that you're asking them to do where they can, but everybody's got the resume saved on their phone, right? How do you enable them to upload that without having to capture? I mean, some people do give you a paper resume, and we've got tools that let you scan it right there and load it in, because you don't want to type all of that contact information in afterwards, right? We were at a career fair at the University of Pennsylvania, and I collected 90 resumes, right? In addition to all the people that we had upload them, because people were like, no, I just want to give it to you. And if I wasn't able to just snap a picture right then, I'd have to spend hours later, right? So it's really, as much as you can, let people register ahead of time, let them upload their own information so that you don't have to manage all that, integrate with whatever system they're using at that fair. So schools use their own Handshake or whatever it is, right? Bring that stuff in. And they don't just have to be university career fairs, but getting those leads into the system and then having them match automatically with the right jobs that may be there. Because you don't always know when you're talking to somebody at one of those what they're really going to be perfectly suited for. Right. And it may be something that, hey, I'm talking to you at a university recruitment fair, but I don't graduate for 2 years. How do you get them into your system so that you can pull it back later, right? You're not going to save a spreadsheet for 2 years and go back to it ever.
Right. You don't want to lose that potential future talent.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. Right? It's really it's a speed game too, because people are applying to everything, and the good candidates get snapped up quick. So you want to engage with them fast. You want to respond to them. You want to thank them for coming, right? Anywhere you can automate that stuff so that those go out right away, you get their attention that, oh, wow, this company got back to me already. It's really a good place. Otherwise, the good candidates get snapped up and you're left with the folks that you didn't necessarily pick as your top choice.
Yeah, the old, first law of marketing, be first, right? And, if you're not first, then you're last. So, so there's an imperative to really be able to be in front of those really quality candidates sooner than later. And honestly, a spreadsheet is not going to get it done in that capacity, right? And
not at scale, definitely.
Yeah, and so you need more advanced technology. You need a more well thought out solution that can address some of the things that you talked about: ways to engage beforehand, ways to engage immediately after. Mm-hmm. So, talk to us a little bit about what are those building blocks? What are the essentials at this point? I'd say table stakes if you really want to run an effective event, whether it's at a university, whether it's at a restaurant, mm-hmm. whether it's some hall that's been rented out to for adult education folks that are looking for jobs, like whatever it might be. Yeah. What are those basic tools that people should have?
Well, I think you just laid out part of the key is the flexibility, right? Because you don't want to have to use a different tool for a different type of event, right? You want everything together. So you want the flexibility in the tool that you're creating or you're using to be able to create a session for individuals to come for job A, job B, job C, but you want to do it all together, right? Like a company career fair kind of engagement. You want to be able to do that. Okay, I want some folks online. I want some folks in person. Or I want to do completely one way or the other, mm-hmm. right? There's different flexibility components that you need to make sure that you support and you handle. So just in the setup of it, in the configuration of it, and there are a lot of platforms out there that just do events, which is great. And some of them do a great job of, hey, I'm at a trade show and I have a booth. So how do I run that, right? How do I scan people in, all that stuff? Sure, that's great. And they capture leads, but it's really got to be an integrated HR system, right? It's got to pull it all together so that you're not using a different tool and you're capturing everybody together with where your jobs are.
Right. Yeah. At Phenom, we like to say that we are purpose built for HR. Mm-hmm. We leverage technology that is used elsewhere. And like you said, there are a number of different event platforms out there. But when you're purpose built for HR, what does that really mean?
Yeah. So it's really around, not just the logistics of it. The logistics of how you run the event are one thing, and that's really important to have that flexibility, as I mentioned, at least be there so you can manage that. You can set it up the way you want to set it up. You can invite people that you already have in there. It's really where it's built for HR is how do you invite leads from previous events or previous people who applied to this job, a week ago, and you're like, hey, come to this event for an interview instead of coming for another interview, right? If you already have those people in the HR system, in the recruiting system, in the CRM, as applicants, now you can invite them to come here and you don't have to schedule a different interview with them, right? So having those candidates after the event, right, now you can disposition them like, yes, we want to hire them in the future. No, we don't want to hire them in the future. Yes, they're, assign them to different jobs that you have open. Maybe you don't have anything in mind, but when they walk in, but as you talk to them, you say, oh, this person would be great for a nursing job, right? Or this person, okay, well, they're still getting their nursing degree, so they can be, an assistant. Or this person's got their master's, so they're, a BSN, whatever it is. You can disposition people and have it already in the system, and that can drive a lot of the action after that point. But it's all together. And let's face it, who wants to learn another tool, right? Why would you use an event tool and an HR tool? I don't want any more apps on my phone. I don't want anything else. So I think that's part of it is how does everybody use the same information in the same system? So your booth staff can see who's coming, so the interviewers can interact with those people, and they can share notes and information together. Then the hiring managers can see it, the recruiters can see it, and it's all just kept as a single record of the person.
Yeah, and I think that link to jobs is critical, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing that you scan somebody and that you have notes, and it's great that they might be interested in something or something else, right? But the ability to kind of just be able to push people into relevant jobs, right?
And quickly,
and receive recommendations, right? The system will recommend based off of like maybe that they're not a fit for this one job that you're hiring for. Maybe they are a better fit for this other job. Push them right there. That recruiter can start working that list immediately after the event, right? You're not worried about trying to figure, like going through a stack of resumes or, looking at notes and figuring out where you should be pushing people.
Well, and especially like some of our larger customers, there's quite a few recruiters. No one recruiter knows every job that every other recruiter has. Right? So how do you do that? Especially after the fact, you have to spend all that time trying to figure it out. This way, the candidate gets matched to whatever job it is. That recruiter gets notified already. You don't even have to research who's, is Mary running this job? Is Bill running this job? I don't remember which one it was. Now that's all taken care of.
Yeah. So, and as you kind of mentioned, one of the primary things you need to do after the event is follow up.
Yes.
Right. And
so important.
And it could be a real pain in the ass, right? Depending on the volume, right? But there are very simple ways that tech beyond pieces of paper and spreadsheets can help you, right? What are some of the ways that you've seen people be successful with?
Well, especially if it's an in-person event, right? Then you're packing up all that stuff that you had to lug there. Usually you don't have any pens left. Right. So that's okay. That's one less thing to carry. But, you're trying to do all of that, or an online event, you're trying to jump right back into your job again. And a lot of the things that I've seen people use are automating those thank yous, right? Automating those, scheduling the next thing. Like if while you're at the event, you can mark somebody as, hey, we really want to schedule an interview with them, right? That can automatically fire our scheduling tool. Right. And now the hiring manager for that job will get it, right? It checks their calendar. The candidate, while they're walking back from the event, gets the email that, hey, we want to follow up interview with you. They can click on their phone, find a time that works for them, and schedule it before they get back to their dorm or back to their car in the parking lot. If really, right. And I think that's where folks have been successful. It's that speed of follow up. It's that nurturing of those candidates and follow up thank yous. Maybe 3 days later, 4 days later, hey, thanks for coming. Here's a link with some information about our company, right? Or links to other job opportunities, things like that. Right. I think that's really, as a recruiter, you don't have to worry about that. That's all just done. You could focus on buying more pens for the next event,
right,
right?
exactly.
Or doing the things that you wanted to do, which is interact with people.
Right.
Nobody wants to sit there and send 100 email thank yous.
Right. Or scan resumes or do
Nobody
whatever.
wants to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't blame them at all. Yeah.
And like you said, people are going through and just rapidly collecting information. You have that schedule link right in front of you as you're walking out to your car. Those other 50 companies that you collected information on are, out of sight, out of mind, basically.
Right. Meanwhile, you have an interview scheduled with somebody before they've heard back from anybody else.
Right. Exactly. So it's the automation is another great feature, of the tool.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about automation. One of the things we also talked about is making sure that the communications that you're going back to candidates with are relevant to the things that they're looking to do.
Right.
How do those things kind of live together? Because there's this whole thing around automation, taking away from personalization.
Absolutely.
Which, I think is a valid concern, but not necessarily one that plays out in practice. Right. So how are you kind of seeing these things kind of coexist where, especially, when early talent, when you're trying to break through that noise, how can they automate while still being personal?
Yeah, I think, and that's really key, because it's great if you get an email fast saying thank you, but if it doesn't have some degree of meaning behind it, it gets deleted. Right. So it's really important to have it drive that specificity, which is not an easy word to say, but it's kind of simple for us to do. Drive that for the candidate, right? Include which job in that communication is right for them. Include, right, if you're doing a schedule right away, that's the ultimate of that component. But it's really, those communications, you can still, it gives the recruiter the time to do what they wanted to do, which is interact with the people. Right. So you're sending right away thank yous, they're in mind. It gives you more time to be able to call people, right, and reach out and give that personalized touch. So you can only do so much with, sure, we do use X Plus and create automated emails that are more, pull out of people's resumes and do all that stuff and give them content that's meaningful and in a response that's meaningful. That's fantastic. But this is a people game. This is, technology is only part of it. It's really, people go to work for people. And if it gives a recruiter more time to contact someone, reach out to somebody and interact with them and make those connections, that's what really does it. That's why people go to work with people that they worked with before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's the meaningful.
And time is a gift that is hard to get a lot of times, no pun intended.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting. I think when it comes to events, especially in-person events, I think people discount the ability for AI to really help. Like, how are they going to help me? Are they going to help me pack up my table? Are they going to help me carry the pens? Are they going to help me? Right. So
I don't know why I got stuck on the pen thing, but it's
a good pen.
It happens.
It can make a difference. So, make sure, besides the tech, good pen.
Good pen.
But I think you kind of touched on a little bit, but besides the automation, what are some of the other AI tools that kind of are part and parcel to being successful with some of these events?
Yeah, I'll start with some of the virtual events, the online events that we're seeing a lot of customers do now, right? These virtual career fairs, because that draws in even more candidates. It really does, especially if you have multiple locations, right? If you're a hospital system and you've got 3 hospitals, or if you're manufacturing and you've got 4 fulfillment centers, right, or distribution centers, and you have the same type of role, you don't have to necessarily have an event at each location. You can do a centralized one too, and do a pre-screening that way, have people join. Their AI is great for just transcribing. Right. You don't have to sit there and write notes. You can focus on the person and do the interview without having to write down everything, and have the transcribe, sort of capture all those for you. That's a great AI tool, and it can pick out what's relevant to help you do those matches later. I think that's a big one. the other AI pieces are really personalizing those communications.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. Like, how do you find people to invite to an event that you're having? If you have a list already of contacts and leads, that's certainly one area where, all of your A fits or B fits you can invite to this event, have people pick their own times that they can show up so that you have that all in mind, right? Yes, I'm having a hiring event and I know these 4 people are coming at 2:00. Right. So that way I can be set for that. And I'm not worried about when are they going to get here. Can they be there in the morning? So I think using AI for personalizing the connections and the content and the communications, but also taking some of that burden off of communicating the right things to the right people, right? If you have folks that maybe you're hiring and you require everybody to be 18, anybody that's not 18, you have one email go out automatically that says, thanks, come back to us in 5 years when you're 18.
Right.
I'm not doing math right now, but I guess they're 14.
Yeah. Right.
They're 13 now, but yeah. So that kind of thing.
It's not a math event.
It's not a math event, right?
It's just TXL. We don't do a lot of math here.
I did graduate with an engineering degree, so I should be able to do 18 minus 5.
No judgment. Yeah, I think when it comes to personalization, I think the pushback that a lot of people have is that they don't have the time to really personalize, and that, I agree with you that the generative AI capabilities and the ability to scan resumes and profiles and pull out relevant pieces of information and generate that content at scale is really an area that a lot of people don't look at when they're thinking about going to an event, right? And it's that pre-engagement and that post-engagement, right? And just helping to scale out that personalization. And like you said, something like FitScore, which helps you to kind of narrow,
narrow the field,
right? And cater the messaging in certain ways based off of how well people fit to certain jobs versus how well they might fit to other jobs. So, so that, events are not void of a lot of help from AI and making them better, either virtual or in person, for sure.
And we don't necessarily know all the ways that people are going to apply the tech like that we certainly have put in the product, right? We've got AI everywhere in it.
Right.
We're still learning. Everybody's still learning about how to use it and how best to apply it to their situation. So,
right.
There's a lot of tools in there that you can use. And that's one of the most fun things about this kind of job for me, honestly, is hearing from our customers. How are they using it? How do they want to use it?
Yep.
And light bulbs going off for everybody all over the place.
Yeah. And it's not an all or nothing proposition either, right? Use some where you need it.
Exactly.
Use more where it will be helpful. So we're coming kind of to the end here, and we talked about a lot of different things that people can do. But as we come out of our conversation and we head back into the chaos of event season, what is your primary piece of advice for teams that are out there trying to tackle these challenges?
Yeah, I think you really want to differentiate yourself to get the good candidates. There's so many people out there looking for work. There are so many people applying to everything. Your job is really to get the best candidates. And so sometimes you have to do things a little differently, not just to make yourself stand out, but to make your life easier to find them, right? So don't always have to do the same thing. You can do a virtual career fair. You can set up your own company event, not always only go to a university event, right? Especially if you're looking for early talent that's not necessarily coming out of college early talent, right? There may be somebody who's had a job for 1 or 2 years of experience, and that's who you're going for. You're not going to get them at a career fair at a university. Do the Chamber of Commerce things in your area, right? If you need somebody local for stuff,
right?
That kind of stuff.
Yep.
But you really, and leverage those automations to set rules and create rules of here's what I would normally do, and then go back in and create rules to do that for you, so that you can communicate to those good candidates quickly and impress them that way, right? And intrigue them about it. Or even if it's somebody that you're not sure for now, but you want to nurture for the future, set those things up so that maybe even it doesn't make your job easier now to solving it, but when you have openings 2 years from now or 5 years in my earlier example, right, then you have those people already queued up, ready to go. I think that's use the AI tools, use the integrated talent pools that you've already got from the lead generation, from the online searches,
Right.
And pull all that together and schedule, right? Get people into interviews. That's the whole point.
Yeah. They might not be the right talent for now, but someday they may
Sure,
be. So
sure.
to spend all that money to get them into your ecosystem and then just throw it away because they're not your short-term need.
Well, it's like any other business, right? The cost to acquire a new customer is a lot higher
Right.
than to keep an existing one. So it's the same thing with generating those leads.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of event platforms out there that are built for events in general. And we kind of talked about some of the shortcomings of those. There's event platforms out there that are built, for career fairs and to focus on that. But I think really you kind of hit the nail on the head. What makes Phenom different is that we've built an event product that is part of our larger platform, and that is creating kind of that universal candidate profile and connecting it to all of the jobs in the organization, so that when you're running an event, it's not just you using this tool for events. You're using this tool to recruit, and events just happens to be a channel that you're using.
Exactly.
And it could be a career fair, it could be Chamber of Commerce, it could be something virtual, and the flexibility is there.
Right.
And the ability to apply AI and automation in different ways is there to really hopefully cut down on the chaos and allow you to be more relationship driven and let the tech focus on the other stuff.
Exactly.
So so it's cool. I mean, I love the tech. Obviously, you love the tech because you're building it.
Right.
Also love pens. Mediocre on math, but don't use it every day anymore.
No, I don't use a pen every day.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you being here, Howard, and kind of talking to us about the conversations that you've been having, some of the stuff you've been seeing at the career fairs, and some of the cool stuff that you've been building to help people out. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you everybody who tuned in with us today. Devin Foster will be back next week, maybe. I don't know. Or you'll see my mug again. Who knows? But we'll be talking about another great part of Phenom's platform. And let me see if I can get it right this time. How we're using applied AI to hire faster, develop better, and retain longer. I have to pay the bills a little bit, as Devin would say. So there's a couple things that we have coming up. First is Customer Obsession Day, which is at the end of this month on October 30th. A great opportunity to hear from our customers about the ways they're using our tech and, how the process went of implementing it and then putting it into practice and adopting it. Always something of a pain point for people, but something that we've been through with our customers and gotten them into a good place. And then, of course, I Am Phenom 2026, right around the corner, is March 10th. IamPhenom.com to register. It's going to be a great time. You'll probably see Howard there. You'll definitely see me there. And you'll be able to spend time with other practitioners, other folks that are running events, and talk to them firsthand about, the challenges they're having and the way they've been able to leverage the tech in meaningful ways. So thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next shindig.